When it comes to console gaming, few games have been as defined by their multiplayer as much as first-person shooters. Although the genre originated on PCs, it didn't take long for both ports and original titles to start popping up on consoles during the mid-1990s. The most popular of these consoles for shooters to appear on was the Nintendo 64, with its superior 3D capabilities compared to the competition outweighing its limited cartridge size. However, another advantage that the N64 offered was its 4 controller ports, allowing split-screen gameplay with up to 4 opponents. Games such as GoldenEye and Perfect Dark on the system utilized this to their advantage, and are still held in high regard due in large part to their deathmatch modes. Towards the end of the decade though, things had started to shift away from local multiplayer. As the internet became more widely adopted, online multiplayer quickly became the standard across first-person shooters on PC, with releases such as Quake 3 and Unreal Tournament offering dedicated servers to connect to. Dedicated servers became a thing for consoles as well during the 6th generation, with the first successful example being SegaNet for the Sega Dreamcast, launched in September of 2000. Despite Dreamcast sales at this point having started to decline due to the PlayStation 2's imminent arrival, the service was still a massive success, with over 400,000 registrations in North America alone after just 1 month. Despite this, when it came to first-person shooters on the Dreamcast, the console still had one major blind spot in the area, not anything to do with the hardware itself or any of the games on offer, but Xbox Live was launched in 2002 and was in many ways the coming of age of a lot of the promise initially shown by SegaNet. Although the Xbox was by far the most powerful system of its generation, initial sales were slower than expected as the brand attempted to establish itself against the powerhouses of Sony and Sony. The launch of Xbox Live proved to be a turning point, however, as the service was light years ahead of anything provided by Sony, with compatible games featuring anything from simple leaderboards to downloadable content and online multiplayer with voice chat. Live features were relatively easy to implement, especially in games already featuring local multiplayer, resulting in the Xbox quickly becoming the definitive system to play most multi-platform titles on. However, it was in the exclusive department that Xbox Live really shined, with the console receiving a large amount of titles that simply weren't possible on competing platforms. These games typically fell into one of two categories: those that were designed solely around online play, or ones that enhanced the single-player experience with a just as compelling multiplayer component. One of the best examples of the latter category was Halo 2, the sequel to the system-defining launch title Halo Combat Evolved. While offline, the game featured everything that had made the original great, including an engaging gameplay loop, clever AI, and a continuation of the story seen in Combat Evolved. These were all overshadowed by its crowning achievement though, expanding its predecessor's already successful local multiplayer mode by taking it online. However, some of the biggest coups scored early on were in the former category, with several multiplayer-focused PC games being exclusively ported onto the Xbox, arguably the most popular of which was Counter-Strike in 2003. Although Counter-Strike started off development as a mod for Half-Life in 1999, the project was quickly picked up by original developers Valve when they realized how much potential it had not just as a mod for their game, but as a standalone product as well. This intuition on Valve's part proved to be correct, with the game's active player count topping 250,000 soon after release and total sales amounting to just over 4 million. Valve wasn't done just yet though, developing an Xbox port of the game in order to try and expand its reach to wider audiences. Even before it was released, this port of Counter-Strike was virtually assured to be a hit, as the game's existing success on PC would be combined with the convenience and ease of access provided by Xbox Live. So how does the multiplayer experience hold up today? And Xbox Live services have been down since 2010? Just my luck. Thankfully though, the game also features a single-player mode absent from the PC version where you can play offline with up to 11 bots as opposed to other people online. Despite some minor issues, these bots are surprisingly fun to play against even today, and are a decent enough substitute, if still not a replacement for the real thing. The classic Counter-Strike gameplay has been fully preserved, with a short period at the beginning of each round to buy weapons before teams are allowed to fight. What sets Counter-Strike apart from the competition is that not only can matches be determined by killing the opposing side, but also through carrying out a specific task determined by affiliation and game mode. In Hostage Rescue, the counter-terrorist team is tasked with rescuing 4 hostage NPCs before the timer runs out. This can be done by either bringing them back to a safe zone or killing the terrorist team, whereas the terrorists' only objective is to kill the counter-terrorists before that can happen. In Demolition, the terrorists are given a timed explosive and have to first plant the device in a specific location, then defend it until it goes off. For counter-terrorists, the goal is to defuse the bomb before it explodes or prevent the terrorists from planting it in the first place. While the gameplay was positively received, many at the time of release felt underwhelmed by the Xbox version of Counter-Strike. Although the game is extremely faithful to the original, it borders on being a bit too faithful in a couple of areas, most notably in the graphics department. Despite some enhancements being made to take advantage of the Xbox's increased power, the visuals were still extremely dated even back in 2003, looking more like a Dreamcast game than an Xbox one. While the graphics here aren't exactly ugly, I mean, they get the job done, they're still one of the least impressive displays on the entire system. Another issue present with the game's Xbox release was the lack of mod support. While the PC version of Counter-Strike could be freely modded to introduce new maps, weapons, and even game modes, you're pretty much stuck with the base game here. Although the port was designed to take advantage of the system's hard drive in order to allow new maps to be downloaded in a similar vein to Halo 2, this particular feature never got the chance to be utilized here. Still, even despite the outdated graphics, lack of customization, and a non-existent multiplayer, Counter-Strike on Xbox isn't a bad experience when playing it today. In fact, I'd argue that it's more enjoyable than any first-person shooter on the Dreamcast for one very important reason. Whether or not it's actually a better game is still up in the air.